Some gardeners spend a small fortune on fancy liquid feeds and glossy fertilizer blends, only to find the results are, well, underwhelming. But imagine if you could boost your plant's growth, improve soil life, and increase yields using something that costs just a few coins and can be made in your kitchen right now. This isn't a gimmick, it's a natural growth booster that has been quietly powering gardens for generations, common baking yeast transformed into a living plant tonic. What makes this approach so captivating is how simple it is to create. A spoonful of yeast, some sugar, and warm water, that's it. But within hours, this mixture turns into a bubbling, microbe-rich liquid that can send your vegetables, flowers, and herbs into a growth spurt. Before the industrial age, gardeners relied on this kind of low-cost, high-impact solution because it nourished not just the plants, but the soil community beneath them. By the time you finish reading, you'll know exactly why yeast works, how to prepare it correctly, and how to use it so your garden thrives naturally. At first glance, yeast might seem more suited for baking bread than feeding plants, but in the soil, it plays a different role entirely. Yeast is a living fungus, and when activated with sugar and warmth, it produces beneficial compounds and releases a steady stream of carbon dioxide. This gas, while harmless to plants in the open air, actually encourages faster growth because it stimulates soil microbes to work harder, breaking down organic matter into plant-ready nutrients. But that's only part of the magic. Activated yeast is also rich in B vitamins, amino acids, and natural enzymes. These nutrients don't just feed the plant directly, they energize the root zone, making it more biologically active. The result is healthier roots, better nutrient absorption, and faster top growth. Flowers bloom more abundantly, leaves turn deeper green, and fruiting plants can set heavier harvests. The beauty of yeast fertilizer is that it's not a synthetic chemical blast. It doesn't overwhelm plants or burn their roots. Instead, it acts like a natural nudge, supporting steady, sustainable growth. And unlike many store-bought products, you control exactly what goes into it. Making yeast fertilizer is a gentle, almost meditative process, perfect for a botanical bliss gardener who enjoys hands-on, nurturing rituals. You'll need just 3 ingredients: active dry yeast, sugar, and warm water. Alright, so you'll want to begin with 1 tablespoon of yeast and dissolve it in about 1 liter of water warm to roughly the temperature you'd use for bread dough, not too hot, or you risk killing the yeast. Next, add 1 to 2 tablespoons of sugar to feed the yeast, and within minutes, you'll notice tiny bubbles forming as the yeast begins its work. Now allow the mixture to sit in a warm, shaded spot for about 2 to 4 hours. This activation time is key. The yeast population multiplies rapidly, releasing the enzymes, vitamins, and gases that make it so effective. Once it's active and frothy, your yeast fertilizer is ready to dilute. Never pour it on plants at full strength. A ratio of 1 cup of the activated mix to 1 gallon of water is ideal for gentle, effective feeding. Yeast fertilizer works best during the active growing season, when plants are putting out new leaves, stems, or flower buds. For vegetables, start applying once seedlings have established their first true leaves, and continue every 2 to 3 weeks. For flowering ornamentals, apply as soon as you see buds forming to encourage abundant blooms. To apply, simply pour the diluted solution around the base of the plant, allowing it to soak directly into the root zone. This encourages roots to branch out and access more nutrients from the soil. For potted plants, make sure excess liquid can drain away to prevent waterlogging. If you want to take it a step further, alternate your yeast feeding with a mild compost tea. This combination keeps both microbial life and nutrient levels high, giving your plants a double boost. One of the most overlooked benefits of yeast fertilizer is how it interacts with the soil food web. Every time you add yeast to your soil, you're introducing more microbial diversity, which helps create a richer, more balanced environment for your plants. Earthworms, in particular, seem drawn to soil treated with yeast fertilizer. As they move through the soil, they aerate it and leave behind nutrient-dense castings that further improve plant health. This microbial stimulation also helps suppress certain soil-borne diseases by crowding out harmful pathogens. Over time, your soil becomes more resilient, requiring fewer outside inputs to stay fertile. That's the real beauty of using yeast. It's not just feeding the plant today, it's building a healthier, more self-sustaining garden for tomorrow. Even the simplest natural fertilizers can be misused if you're not careful. Avoid using yeast fertilizer on young seedlings less than 2 weeks old. Their roots are delicate and may not benefit from the increased microbial activity just yet. Don't over-apply. More than once every 2 weeks can overwhelm the soil balance. And always dilute before use. Undiluted yeast solution can ferment in the soil, creating an imbalance that might harm roots. Also, remember yeast is a living organism. It works best fresh. Once prepared, use your yeast fertilizer within 24 hours for the most potent effect. Any leftovers can be added to a compost pile where they'll speed decomposition and boost the pile's microbial diversity. The charm of homemade yeast fertilizer lies not only in its effectiveness, but also in its accessibility. It's proof that, honestly, some of the most powerful gardening tools aren't found in a store. They're sitting in your kitchen cupboard. By embracing this simple practice, you're stepping into a tradition of resourceful, earth-friendly gardening that nourishes plants naturally and supports long-term soil health. If you've been searching for a way to feed your garden without relying on costly commercial products, this could be the perfect place to start. It's quick, inexpensive, and, deeply rewarding to see the difference in your plants within just a few weeks. Your garden's growth potential doesn't have to be locked behind expensive fertilizers. With this humble, living solution, you can encourage lush foliage, vibrant blooms, and bountiful harvests for mere pennies, all while supporting the living soil beneath your feet. If you found this guide helpful, share it with fellow gardeners so more people can enjoy the beauty of natural plant care. And don't forget to subscribe to Botanical Bliss for more timeless, nature-powered gardening wisdom.